Alright, this seems like a good one, guys. Let's first go. This is another innovation replay, so once again, we don't know who the barcode is, but this time it's going to be a Protoss player in the top right. As the red Protoss, we shall call him Protoss. In the bottom left, as the blue Terran, he is innovation. Please parting. I'm gonna guess, and this is not disrespectful so much as it is just purely like amazing at how good these guys can get. I'm gonna guess that parting is not Innovation's MMR. If they face each other, it might be during like a slow time or just like a one of those random like throw a bunch of weirdly MMR people at you, which happens at every league. That's my guess, anyways. People who watch Innovation stream or parting stream might know better, but. Maybe they're closer on their stream MMRs, like maybe one person's stream MMR is closer to the person's like practice MMR. That could be true. What's the MMR difference up there? I mean, I have no idea. I haven't paid that close attention, but I feel like for like the top 25 GM, it's got to be very slight differences. And then when it gets to like the next 25 guys, it could be more substantial. We don't have Innovation proxying, which I think is worthwhile to note. He's been kind of trying to mix things up. It's just evident that you should be throwing in proxies a lot versus Protoss. You should be practicing them, and ladder's always the place to practice. It's not really something you can argue anymore. And, well, that's unfortunate in some ways. It's fun in others, so I guess I'll leave that at that. Then Innovation, still going for that just one Rax proxy this time. Now, these guys might have all, like, this might be the same Protoss in the other replays that I was given. There's, like, 8 of them versus the same barcode Protoss, supposedly. I don't know if the same Protoss. Barcodes are hard to read for a reason. But against Protoss, and coincidentally, a lot are on blue shift, so I don't know what that was about, but if they both have their vetoes set up like this, then they could just be facing each other over and over and over again. Could be an entirely different one. Who knows? You know what I wish it was? I wish it was Hero. Hero might be taking advantage of the off-season because he didn't make it into BlizzCon, but not showing up for the Super Tournament was really weird, and I don't know, I just hope he's not retiring. I usually am okay with people who go back to Brood War if that's what he's gonna do, but I think he's, I mean, I did really like him back in Brood War. He was one of my favorite, like, first favorites, along with Effort. They're both on CJ Entis, but I think I like his StarCraft 2 personality more. Ooh, the Reaper dies. That was very useful in protecting the SCV against the Adepts. That's awkward. SDO on Mass says Inno number 7 at 6781 and Parting's number 31 at 6318. So that's, I mean, I didn't want to say any numbers. I wasn't really sure, but that is kind of in line with what I was talking about, right? Where like maybe the top 15 or the differences are 50, maybe 50 to 100 MMR, but then you get below the top 25 and suddenly it's like a big humongous spike. That's a 500 MMR difference when MMR is starting to get really hard to take. You know, when you're in gold or platinum, you can beat people and get 40 MMR because that's just how wildly your skills can be different. But and yeah, doesn't really happen when you get to those peaks. That's why Cyril, whenever he plays, right, he loses a fuck ton more MMR than he wins. Can't keep that for long. Anyways, we got some Woodamines popping out after a single Hellion. The Hellion looks kind of awkward because it's really not helpful against the Stalkers, but the Woodamines are definitely helpful. With the Twilight Council opener, I'm more apt to say that this is Zest. Zest is one of the Protoss players who still likes to consistently go with Twilight Councils, but I have no idea if this is consistent because this is a single ladder game, not a best of. But I would like to think that's who it is. Could be totally wrong. Now it turns into a Woodamine drop with Marines. It's kind of a more classic Woodamine drop. You don't really see the Marines much. They don't usually add enough. But it's going to boost in here. If it can get a Stalker with a Woodamine, that's also pretty useful because the probes are usually not going to be taken out. 2 probes are taken out instantly. This probe's going to take the shot. Or is it? Or is it? All right, well, one of them did. So 3 in total. But the medevac dies? That was 5 in total. I guess the Marines got 3 more that I wasn't watching. Or 2 more that I wasn't watching. 5, but the medevac dies. That's not worth it. The whole thing is like, it's a very different outcome. if the medevac doesn't die. That's potentially another drop. That's a medevac to heal if you're gonna go for a tank push. It's just an expensive unit. The Wood Mines and the Marines, they produce pretty quickly. You're kind of done with the Wood Mines anyways. The medevac's different. Oh well. We have a defensive innovation, so he's not gonna go for a tank push. He got a 3rd CC on the way. He's getting barracks. Only thing safer would have been a bunker, but he knows what the build is of the Protoss. He saw, you know, an okay number of gateways. He did miss the forge coming down as well as the robotics bay, and that's where things get really interesting. I mean, the forge would have been, I think, an extra confirmation that the game's gonna go on. There's no all-in, but the robotics bay, yeah, going into Colossus. So as far as I know, Zest doesn't usually do this. I think Trap was doing it last time I saw a Trap play, so that might be who it is. I'm just really throwing things out here. But there's also maybe an upswing of Protoss, still rare, but there might be an upswing of how many times you're going to see Colossus against Terran. We're kind of doing that whole, like, you know, thing where the meta goes one way, and then the Terran figures it out, and then it goes the other way, and, you know, it happens all over the place. Some could argue that's why Maru loses to Protoss at all, is that it swings back to the direction, and suddenly Colossus are his weakness. And then once, you know, eventually he'll do well against that again, and he'll swing the other way, and charge that Archon will be his weakness. Love how the mines have lamps on their front. Well, they're mines. They're miners. How else are they gonna see in the mines? The burrow movement upgrade? You mean like like what banelings we're gonna have or what roaches have currently? That would be so sick. I don't know. Would you take having banelings burrow move if Wood Mines could also burrow move? Because banelings almost had burrow move. Or was they considered a buff to them? And it was Pawpaw because he's Byun's daddy. Is he? I mean, I know Byun liked him, but I don't know, daddy. It's kind of a weird way to put it. What if burrowed units could attack burrowed units? CVZ would be a lot weirder. Because there was no reason never, oh my god, like, I guess it's still different than attacking both burrowed and unburrowed, but with the roach generation as it is right now, would there be a reason not to be burrowed? I don't know. Actually, we were talking about mines burrow moving. Yeah, I know, I was reading chat. I didn't just coincidentally bring up the same topic. Anyways, so we do have Colossus. It's known about as for innovation. He's building those Vikings. I mean, back when Colossus were still kind of popular, there was always that question, and there was a time where Colossus really were still the thing to do. They were even kind of considered a response to Liberators. That was a while ago, though. So the two options you really had as a Terran player was just to commit to Liberators, and, you know, as far as hard countering, they weren't a hard counter, but they're kind of a soft counter. And then you just get range, and you play defensively, and Liberators are useful for everything, not just dealing with the Colossus. Or you went into Vikings, which is the oldest way to do it, oldest trick in the book. You just got so many Vikings and tried to take the micro game so that you killed the Colossus before they did the splash damage to your army. That's kind of the way it goes, especially if there's 3 or more Colossus. You really have to get some shots from the Vikings on them first. The Raven is very useful in this situation. I really like that Innovation got that. For a while, Ravens were kind of like, you know, they're becoming a norm in this matchup, then they died out. I think getting it maybe intentionally for the Colossus is a really cool thing to do. Bam, instantly 2-3 Colossus out of the equation, War Prism Micro out of the equation. The Interference Matrix is going to be absolutely huge. Or an anti-armor missile. I mean, both are going to be really, really, really nice as this army is super, super clumped up. Innovation has moved away from that defensive position, something that the Protoss player does not know about, but is going to take advantage of, question mark. Well, this will be a base trade. It's going to be a base trade. Losing 2 Vikings for not much, not great, and it is officially a base trade. His Innovation does not return home. He just pounces on the natural. He's going to be on top of the production faster than the Protoss player's on top of his, but it's still going to be quite close. No time to build those Liberators, which are the automatic response. They should always be the automatic response if you ever get into a base trade near a Terran player. Build as many Liberators as possible, but only if you get the chance. The Protoss knows this. They're already attacking the main base, only spending so much time in the natural, so the command center has been lifted. The SCVs have been saved, and that is the next part, of course, of saving yourself on a base trade. So probes were pulled, SCVs are pulled away, chaos is happening, and I chose a good replay. I'm very lucky with this. Command center in the main could go down potentially, but it would require every single anti-air unit to be attacking it, and there's just not a lot of anti-air. The Protoss player didn't manage to get a lot of stalkers, and just in general, I don't think he got a lot of them. Like, total, he would have had a 7. That's not a ton. There was probably a plan as the game went on to build more stalkers, as you need them to deal with the Vikings, but not a ton. Those Vikings could be very dangerous. One more prism was sniped if this one survives. Command center does go down. Building's starting to go down too, but there's so many of them, and this command center didn't just try and hold out in the third base for no reason. It just went off to the corner. It knows it might be the potential draw factor. The Protoss base has been completely wiped out. Nothing really substantial here. I guess there might be... You could say that the pylons would be worth sniping, but the Protoss thought that might have been the problem when they already built a ton of pylons. Also sells enough minerals for a Nexus, so that's really important. But Innovation also realizing Spidey was going to be a problem, also banking quite a bit, building a lot of supply depots. Maybe you want to spread those around a little bit, but he's maybe going to just try and engage with the army. Currently, the army supply is very even. Upgrade, though, goes in favor of the Protoss with that +2. And 4 Colossus against what is only 4 Vikings. Even though the anti-air on the is not very plentiful, it's still... 4 Vikings isn't very plentiful. Now, if that number was 8 or 10, then you're almost guaranteed to snipe down 1 Colossus in the Warp Prism, probably 2. And that's just with diving on top of them, not like bringing your army as well. But 4 is, oh, that's a hard number to work with. The Raven's gonna be really, really important for this engagement. As far as economy goes, Innovation still has the better end of things, I think, because he has 2 orbitals alive, although 1 is not muling. But 29 SCVs or 33 is quite even with 1 mule to take it into account. Nexus is up for the Protoss. Second Nexus is on the way. They've both been unsupply blocked. This is not a very common scenario for base trades. Can't be that a game has this awesome content for free, or can it? I just turn off the stream until you guys pay me $20. No one will know the end of this unless you watch Innovation stream. Ooh, free shots on War Prism almost gets through its shields. TVP and Brood War is much more exciting. I don't disagree. I actually really like Brood War TVP, but I think you might also not be putting enough credit to StarCraft 2. The 2 hallucinations is really cool. Is Innovation falling for it? No, he immediately scans. He's like, wait a second, there's no way. And the army on the ground is just obliterated. The Colossus fall after that. That was the main problem there. The concave was great for the Terran. The Colossus were not getting the best shots, even if there wasn't a concave. I felt like they were just attacking things that were a little bit forward. Innovation definitely takes the engagement, and while it looked a little scrappy at the end, Vikings are super good against Protoss, and he had all this production. So GG, Innovation ends up taking that game. And with the setup, it was maybe a little more obvious, but, you know, had he picked up 2 medevacs to go try and snipe the Nexus, or he had been roaming around the map and caught with his pants down, that could have been a very different engagement.